Good Friday, everyone, and welcome to GardenStateWeather.com and GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, providing superior forecasting for the northern mid-Atlantic region 24 hours a day. I'm forecaster Robert Smith on this final Friday and final day of the month of July, July 31st, 2015. Well, definitely the first thing you're going to notice today is the change in the dew points as they continue to drop into the upper 50s now across northwestern New Jersey and Sussex County, back into the 50s now across the Poconos. They're still in the 60s, and probably that will continue to fall off during the afternoon hours. So drier air is making its way into the region. We have very light winds, and as a result of that and some of the dew points meeting the air temperatures this morning, we have a little bit of interior fog across interior northwestern New Jersey and also out on eastern Long Island, and down across southern New England as well this morning. But the temperatures are generally running in the upper 60s to lower 70s. It's going to be a hot day today, but much noticeably drier throughout the afternoon as the dew points continue to fall off. Gorgeous. Large-scale view of the eastern United States water vapor this morning shows a couple of things. High pressure building in across the western United States. Our upper level low here across just to the southwest of Hudson's Bay, Canada. All this dry sinking air moving in behind the frontal boundary that has now pushed completely off the northern mid-Atlantic coast states. Much pleasant weather coming in for the next 24 to 48 hours and possibly even into 72 hours. Morning satellite imagery of the visible deck of clouds. There isn't any. After all of that rain pushed off the coast, we had anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches in some spots yesterday with those heavy downpours and some lightning and wind damage too. We'll get to that in just a moment. Once again, the water vapor channel shows the drying, sinking air compression. It's going to be a hot day today, but very few clouds around the region today as a result of all of this dry, sinking air that is in place. And of course, with that dry, sinking air which is in place, all of the precipitation is now removed from the entire forecast region. Here are some of the rainfall totals yesterday. It varied depending on where you were when that line of showers and thunderstorms moved through. We had amounts anywhere from 1.62 inches here across some of the Mesonet stations at LaGuardia here, and almost an inch of rain here at JFK. Interior New Jersey had about 1/2 of an inch to 1 inch in spots, and back through Pennsylvania where we had wind damage and some lightning as well, where anywhere from 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rain fell yesterday. Very little contribution as it made its way through the coastline here of southern New Jersey, but everybody saw some kind of rain, briefly heavy downpours across the region yesterday. Yesterday's max temperatures anywhere from the upper 80s into low and mid 90s across the region, and we're going to continue with a high around 90 degrees today for the Philadelphia metro area and parts south and west of the Mason-Dixon line. In fact, if you get into the Carolinas, where a lot of people are traveling to for vacation this week, its temperatures are going to be in the upper 90s to lower hundreds, and that forecast looks to stay in place next week too. For our region, it's going to be a cool down over the next, the next week anyway, but definitely over the weekend. Hot seasonable temperatures but dry conditions in place for most of the region. Surf zone forecast for the New Jersey and Delaware beaches. Sunny skies today, a little bit of patchy fog early this morning. Temperatures in the upper 80s, northwest winds light at 10, seas around 3 feet. Water temperatures are warm, 77 degrees. UVI index is high, sunscreen a must at 8. There's a low risk of rip currents today. However, never swim alone. Always swim with a flotation device in guarded areas. Never swim near piers and jetties. No threat of lightning for today. And if you're going to the beaches this morning, the tide's already coming in at 7:41 this morning, and it will be going out at 1:49 this afternoon. And we have no airport delays, and we have no watches, warnings, or advisories on our coastal or land air masses as well over the next 24 hours or so. We do have a couple of disturbances here. This is about a 10% chance of south of the Cape Verde Islands of this becoming an organized tropical storm. And this area off the South Carolina and North Carolina coast will merge with the frontal boundary that's now offshore and move away with no influence on our region. Here are some of the storm reports from yesterday. Some wind damage up in Morris County. 52-mile-per-hour wind gusts yesterday afternoon as a thunderstorm line came through. Then were some flash flooding and wind damage with down trees here across Jersey City and then north into the island here. And we had a lightning strike or two which produced some power outages here in northwestern New Jersey, which is not being reported or was not relayed to the National Weather Service. But this lightning strike here out in Pennsylvania hit a house actually. So there was some heavy downpours and some lightning strikes and wind damage as a result of that line. Hot weekend coming up into early next week, and the UVI index will be high, so sunscreen will continue to be a must. And with the lush wetness that we've had over the last couple of weeks, actually, it's basically grass mold, which is a predominant pollen in the air, and it will continue to be high right into early next week. Morning surface analysis from the Weather Prediction Center, and then the forecast charts going in the future. Here's our cold front which passed off the coast. We have a northwesterly flow now moving in. Here's our upper level low across the Hudson's Bay region in Canada. This is the analysis. Now the forecast, that front continues to move further offshore with high pressure building in across the region for today, tonight, and tomorrow, with lowering humidities as the dew points fall off. Now we're going to have a series of weak frontal systems approach the region as we head into the weekend. Most of the energy with these systems will be to the north and to the west of the region. So these fronts will have a tendency to weaken and stall out across the region and then just flatly die out as just boundaries over the region as we head into the weekend. Most of the precipitation will be spotty, and it will be to our north and west. So places like the Poconos and parts of New York State might have a better chance of seeing more isolated to scattered showers. But the rest of the New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia metropolitan area and the I-95 corridor seeing very little, if any, contribution of that, just some clouds from cumulus and the heating of the day. There is still a chance for some of that activity across interior sections on Saturday afternoon and evening. Most of the area will remain precipitation free. Forecast charts going into the future shows the frontal boundary stalled out across the Carolinas here and well off the coast as high pressure is in control. Comes our next frontal system across the upper Great Lakes. These frontal systems will have a tendency to draw toward the area and then dissolve across the region as we head into the middle part of next week. And this means that there will be an isolated to scattered chance of a shower around the region, especially on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. First of all, later Tuesday, probably most likely, has a better chance of seeing any showers across the region, and it will be isolated indeed as these fronts move through the region and then stall out to the south and west. Now, gets interesting by middle part of next week is that most of the model guidance is suggesting that the front stalls, tries to make its way back to the north. A little bit of an area of low pressure develops on it. Still, the chances for widely scattered showers and thunderstorms probably around the Mason-Dixon line here. Central and southern New Jersey has the better chances. Everybody else stuck in between this and the boundary of high pressure to the west means that little contribution of precipitation is expected. And the pattern is slowly changing with our EPO here, and basically high pressure building in, our positive PDO, with high pressure building in for south of Alaska into the west coast of the United States. So this means that above normal temperatures are going to be probable in this region here of Alaska, and that translates to a trough in the eastern United States, and with the coldest anomalies here just to south of the Great Lakes region. Over the next 6 to 10 days, precipitation probabilities will also be just about normal for most of the area below normal, as the main trough axis is across the Great Lakes and into southeastern Canada, and also below with the ridge axis here across Alaska. When we get into the 8 to 14 day period, we find the ridge axis extending itself with a positive PDO across the western United States coast, where the heat really begins to build across the Intermountain West here, basically all the way to the western coast from Washington all the way down to California. And of course that means that our trough axis will be still digging in a little bit further with below anomalies here in the northeastern United States and Canada, and near to slightly above normal precipitation chances as we start to see the inflection of moisture from the tropics here, and our heat ridge off the east coast rather, and our trough in the means over the eastern United States. And with that in mind, we wanted to go over the 500 millibar height anomalies based from the European and the GFS forecast as we go into the future, with a ridge building in across the western United States and a trough in the means, first starting out around Hudson's Bay, Canada, and then bleeding into the northeastern United States. So we're going to be in a northwesterly flow to a westerly zonal flow aloft. And we've noticed that most of the model guidance for next week is now starting to lower the temperatures north of the Mason-Dixon line, and that makes sense given the upper air pattern in place with our ridge axis rebuilding over the Intermountain West and the Central Plains. A new trough begins to develop in next week in the off the coast of northwestern Canada here and into the eastern Pacific, and the mean trough axis still exiting off of southeastern Canada, and keeps us basically in a northwesterly flow. Fronts coming through the region, probably stalling out. There will be some chances for precipitation, but they're not going to be widespread and heavy at this point. We can see the anomalies here as blocking begins to build over the top now by the middle to the later part of next week into the following week, August 10th. And this takes us to the end of the 10-day mean here, and just below normal over the top of the block here, a trough in the eastern United States and a ridge from the central plains out to just about the west coast. European operational model guidance supports this trend too, with a deep trough, or basically a trough from the Hudson River, from the Hudson Valley region into central and southeastern Canada into the eastern United States. Hudson's Bay is what I meant to say. And by the time we get into the later part of next week and into the following week, we see the ridge axis building with our negative NAO bleeding, blocking in the pattern here with the mean trough axis across the eastern United States, the ridge pushed back to the west, and a new trough axis beginning to form across the western United States. So here we are with the GFS forecast with our cold front now off the coast, high pressure building in across the region. It's going to be a pretty nice weekend overall. A couple of weak troughs will move through the region, particularly Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, but very little contribution other than the heating of the day, initiating any widely scattered or isolated showers across the region. They'll be mainly to the north and to the west of the region, but still over northwestern New Jersey, about a 10 or 20% chance. As that weak cold front then moves through the region, by early Sunday morning, more high pressure begins to build in, but we still have this little bit of a weakness here along the coast, but absolutely dry conditions, not seeing anything in the way of any organized precipitation across the region. The next frontal system approaches from the north and from the west, with the main energy remaining in Canada as the front approaches the region during Monday afternoon and Monday evening, passing through the region Monday night and early Tuesday morning. And we've noticed there is still a chance of some widely scattered showers, a little bit more organized across northwestern and southwestern areas here on Monday afternoon and Monday night, especially Tuesday morning, and that moves off the coast, and then more high pressure begins to build into the region as the front begins to stall out. Here's another disturbance in the flow approaching by Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening, which could provide additional showers and perhaps a localized thunderstorm across the region by Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, and then more high pressure builds in across the region. We're going to keep the forecast simple at this point, as the frontal boundary will probably stall out around the region by Wednesday and Thursday south of the Mason-Dixon line, but keeping most of the precipitation away from the New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia metropolitan area. So for everything live, it's GardenStateWeather.com, GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. I'm forecaster Robert Smith. You have a final fantastic day for this last day of the month of July 2015, and enter into summer forecast with hot temperatures but generally dry, tolerable relative humidities for the first weekend of August. We'll be back in video form on Monday morning. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone.